Hey everyone, it's Jaden James. Thanks for tuning into this video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my adventures with gathering and processing bay nuts. I've got a basket full here. I'm also sitting under a beautiful bay tree at one of my favorite local parks in the town I live at. And I have collected many bay nuts from this location. And excited to share about this information and put it out there because there's not a lot of resources concerning bay nut processing, gathering that are available. And I will say that the majority of the information I'm sharing is from my own experience and observation. I have done some digging into the very few articles that are available, but yeah, so if you have any questions, definitely leave them below in the comments. But yeah, I'll get going and how to process, or how to forage and process bay nuts. Bay nuts come from the California bay laurel tree. So this is a tree that is actually, it's related to the European bay trees that some of us are familiar with. They have very similar leaves with a very strong aroma. Also, they are, but the difference with the California bay tree is that it grows in a very small region within California, and I have read it can go up to the Oregon coast, primarily in arid regions. So there are a lot of bay trees in Marin County and up into Sonoma. That's about all I've explored in terms of the location that I have found them. I first learned about bay nuts in 2013 when I attended my first primitive skills gathering called the Buckeye Gathering, and that had been held in Northern California for quite a few years. And I was drawn to bay nuts because, one, I love to learn about new foods, and this was a new wild food that I had never heard of. And it was associated with chocolate. So I love chocolate. I have cacao pod tattooed on me. So I was very intrigued when I heard about this. And I soon found out that bay nuts were a hot commodity item to trade within these gatherings for goods. Instead of using money, you would trade perhaps a jar of bay nuts for another item that you wanted to bring into your life. So I was very excited when I found out about these. I tried them. I tried them in some kind of chocolate cookie dessert and was just absolutely blown away. They are also considered the North American cacao bean. And this is because they have a similar stimulating properties as chocolate and also coffee. And like I said, I don't know, I haven't read any specific studies done on the nutritional facts, nutritional value of the nut, other than that I know it does contain protein, fat, and carb. I don't know what the breakdown is of that. But they do have a stimulating properties. So if you eat a lot of them, you'll feel that euphoric feeling that you would probably get from chocolate or cacao. You're going to have more energy, more focus. You might get jittery depending on how you experience those types of chemicals in your body. So that's a cool thing about them. You're not going to be eating as many of them as you probably would with almonds or walnuts. I did read that they are similar to walnuts in terms of their nutritional value, but I don't know the breakdown of it. And in experimenting with them, I did grind up fresh roasted bay nuts, which I have right here. So I ground them up in my coffee grinder, and they were this beautiful, warm, soft paste. But then within a few hours, it started to quickly solidify. So that does lead me to believe that they have less fat in them than other nuts. So they probably have a higher carb to fat ratio, and that's just my observation on them. Like I said, I have no idea. The other cool thing about bay nuts is they are actually related to the avocado. And as you can see here, they've got this greenish yellow skin, purplish. These are perfect ones that are ripe. I picked these off a tree in Lucas Valley a few days ago. They came off, it was just like picking candy off of a tree, or I would say chocolate off of a tree. So these are ready to peel. They're very easy to peel, actually. I just dig my thumb into it and flip it out, and you got the nut. So as you can see, there's it looks similar to an avocado skin. So this would be the fat. And I read that some people do attempt to eat that, but it has a pretty pungent taste, and I definitely don't enjoy it. So inside you have the seed. This is the shell, and inside is the actual nut. So to give you an idea of the process on how to go about gathering and processing bay nuts. The first step is you most likely need to live in Northern California. Like I said, they grow in very small regions, and it's mostly California, along the coast, up into Oregon, and perhaps some down in Southern California. So you find a bay tree, you start observing it. In the springtime, you're going to notice the flowers are going to start to pop on the bay tree. That was an indication for me earlier this spring when I saw the massive amount of flowers on all the bay trees on my hikes. I was getting really excited and was just hoping and praying that they were going to bloom into this beautiful fruit. Now, primarily these fruits would be ready to gather in October, November. I believe due to the climate changes that have been occurring within our world over the past, 50, 100 years, these actually ripened and produced way sooner. So I did start gathering bay nuts in late August. So pretty much all of September I have been gathering these nuts from various trees throughout the county. So once I gather them, I store them in a basket, and I try to process them within a few days of gathering them. You don't want the skin to get too raisiny where it gets dry like this, because that's causing moisture to be trapped inside, and then the nut could start to develop mold on the outside. I've also noticed that if you're picking them off of the ground, so there's a fine window, it's almost a 2-week, 3-week window where you're going to be able to pick them off of the tree where you just lightly pull it down, it comes off, and then, store it in your baskets or some type of ceramic or metal bowl. And then within that week, it's really great to start to take the skin off. So, as I said, there's lots of different ways. They're very simple to take the skin off. You can use a hand knife. I just dig my thumb in there and pop it out. And then after that, you're going to have all your nuts, and they're going to be without the skin on them. Then you're going to lay them out on trays, or if you have more baskets or any type of flat space where you can lay them out to dry in the sun. Now, this is a really important step. You need to dry these because they are wet. When you take them out of the skin, there's moisture on them. And if you were to just put them in a jar and close the lid, mold's going to develop. You're not going to be able to eat these nuts. So you need to lay them out. I'll go as long as I can before it starts to get too cold at night, or I'll bring them at night and then take them back out during the day and lay them out in the sun. Because of where I do live, it can still get fairly warm during the midday and drop down cold at night. So doing that for as long as possible until I feel like, okay, these are dry. It could be about 2 months. I really want to make sure that they're dry before I store them in any type of jar or container. And as I said, this is the crucial important part, because you want to prevent mold from forming on the outside of the shells and also on the inside, because you're taking all this time to do this work, and while it's a great way to learn, you're going to make mistakes along the way. I definitely have over the past 8 years, but yeah, I want to make this as smooth as possible if you are able to gather and process these bay nuts. Once they're dry, you're going to, I suggest storing them in glass jars. If that's not an option for you, you could put them in a plastic container. I think that would probably be okay, but glass is always the best. And, put the lid on so they're tightly sealed. And they're going to last, I've read up to a year, but these are from 2018, and I have been snacking on them a lot the past few months. They're fine. I have not found any mold on any of my nuts. Okay, so now you're ready to eat them. You're going to take them out of the jar, lay them on a cooking sheet, pop them in the oven about 400, 425, and it's going to take anywhere from 30, 40 minutes depending on your oven. So this is the part where a lot of where observation comes into play, and just testing it out and seeing how they taste. So, set the timer for 20 minutes, take a seed out, crack it open, and see what it looks like. If it still looks pretty white, then it's not ready to eat. I mean, if you take a nibble of it, you're going to taste that astringent flavor, and you don't want it to taste astringent. That's your body's natural ability to say, hey, this doesn't taste like a food I should be eating. You're not going to die. You're not going to get sick. It just doesn't taste good. So, okay, they need to go a little bit longer. And the color you really want to get is this dark, chocolatey, coffee, buttery brown color. And it is going to be different for every batch that you put in the oven. And that's the really beautiful and fun thing about harvesting wild foods. Yes, there's a system to it, but it's going to be different every time. And that's what I just love. I love the experience of spending the time over the year connecting with the tree, getting to know the trees and their pattern and their rhythm, and when are they going to bloom and produce, and when are they going to give all this fruit back to us. And here in California, so many people don't take advantage of this, and I find it to be a much easier process than gathering and processing acorns into flour. And I mean, it's a very different type of food. You're not gonna be consuming it in high quantities that you would with acorn flour, but it's such a fun food to incorporate into all different ways. So, like I said, I made a nut butter, and with that nut butter, I'm going to then blend it with another nut butter that has more fat, so that it has that creamy consistency texture. Then you can just eat it. There's going to be less of the stimulating properties in it once I cut in another food with it. At winter solstice time, I always make cookies, and those, of course, involve chocolate and bay nuts. They're very delicious, and everyone loves them whenever I pass them out. And it's a great way to educate people on this wild food, especially if they're local. What I want from this is to encourage you to get out into your landscape and find one local food that you really connect with, and that you start to pay attention to, and that you can create a relationship with, and that can build every year a little bit more at a time. I look back when at 2013, I just learned about it, and that was it. And then I started noticing the trees, and I started noticing the flowers, and then the fruit, and I thought, wow, this is just so easy. Like, I can just pick these off the tree and fill up my basket, and it, like I said, it's just a beautiful process to engage yourself with each day, to have such an abundant wild food that you can share with your friends and family and your community. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I am sure there's some stuff I probably left out. I could talk about bay nuts for a very long time because I get really excited about this fruit. I have so many memories of this food in my life, and I'm excited to continue to discover ways to use this. Yeah, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment below. You can send me a message, follow me on Instagram. I definitely have more information on there through some of my posts and in my stories. And throughout the fall and winter, I will be sharing more ways in which I'm using them in my diet. I plan to use the grinds to mix in with my coffee grinds when I'm making coffee and see how that flavor comes out. Blending it up with my coffee. I love coffee. And like I said, making other types of desserts and nut butters, and gifting them and sharing them with people who really want to learn. And, you know, like I said, I encourage you to get out into your landscape and just find one plant that you can start to connect with and learn about. And, you know, I feel that these trees, they want to give this to us. They want us to learn from them, and this is such a deep way to connect. And using your hands and processing the food, it's primal. It's ancestral skill that has been in us for thousands of years. It's part of our DNA, and I am so grateful to live in such a expansive, vast area in which I can connect with this really special wild food. Depending on how many I collect this year, if you are interested in trying some, please let me know. We could find a way that I could mail you some so that you can try them out. I definitely want to share this with other people around the country. Thanks again for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them below. You can follow me on Instagram at Jaden James, and get out there, check out your local landscape, find a plant, do some research, connect, and always keep it wild. Peace.